Welcome back to Neuroconversant Leadership, where we talk about effective communication in a diverse world. I'm Jeremy Doran. I love helping great engineers become great leaders. Are you ready for Thanksgiving? I know we normally talk about business, but with the holidays coming up, I wanted to talk about communication in that type of diverse world. To me, Thanksgiving is the second best holiday of the year. The first one is Friends Thanksgiving. It's just like Thanksgiving where there are no gifts involved. It's just a time to enjoy each other. But with Friends Thanksgiving, it's my chosen family. These are people I've been friends with for 25 years. We know and choose to spend time together with each other. It can happen any time of the year. It doesn't have to be in November. But we go through all the same turkey, and the whole celebration is similar, except that it's the chosen family. The second best holiday is regular Thanksgiving. And at that one, sometimes you don't always get to choose who your family is. Now, sometimes it's your actual family, and it's kind of like a great big reunion. You can't choose who they are. They're your family. You were born with them. And so that means there is a lot of potential baggage. Do you have a brother who's got outlandish political ideas? Do you have an Aunt Carrie who's always making comments about your hair? Or does one of your uncles disagree with your parenting style? The thing about family, because you've been around them for so long, sometimes they can bring triggers with them. Now, I talked about triggers more in episode 39, and it's worth checking that out. Sometimes triggers are great. They are great memories and nostalgia, things from your childhood that are great, but not everything from your childhood was great. Sometimes the things that just kind of have built up over years and years and years can be small things, but when you're getting together with a large group of them who you haven't seen in a long time, sometimes it can cause negative triggers, things that really just set you off. So what we talked about in that episode 39 was one thing is take a deep breath. It does two things. It tricks your body into calming down because it's putting your body in the same state that it would be if it were calm. And it also gives you time to reflect so that you don't just respond right away. While you're taking the deep breath, you can think about what their intention was, and was it just something that you know is a trigger of yours and they didn't mean anything by it. And that allows you to give a more measured response. It can also be stressful if it's not your own family. If it's someone else's family, like your spouses or just friends or whatever it is, but you don't always know all their traditions. Some families pray before a meal and some don't. Some families are quiet and considerate, and some families are boisterous. They talk over each other, and what seems like arguing is really just the way they talk. Do they wait for everyone to have a full plate of food before touching their own, or does everyone just dive right in? When you're dealing with someone else's family, you don't always know the traditions, and that can be a little bit stressful, and you also may not know everyone. For some people, that's fine. Meeting new people is great. For some people, it can be stressful. Not knowing someone you don't know, are they a hugger? Do they like to talk politics? What are their views? Are there any topics that I should definitely avoid? So if you're with your own family or with someone else's family over Thanksgiving, it can be a wonderful time, but it can also be a little bit stressful. So I wanted to talk about a few things you can do to make sure that everything moves towards the good. A few ways to avoid stress and enjoy conversations is your mindset. Number one, it's called Thanksgiving. So be thankful. Before the event, going into it, think about how great your year has been, what you're thankful for, and what you're going to be thankful for in getting to spend time with these people. And not just before, but during. Sometimes they will have something formal where while everyone eats, everybody says something positive, but don't wait for that. If you are seeing someone and you have great memories of them from your childhood or from years ago, let them know. Let them know what you're thankful for. Hey, Uncle Ralph, I still remember to this day when we were 5 and you used to take us out to ice cream. That was wonderful. You get to have the positive mindset of being thankful, and it's going to make their day as well. Be prepared with stories and answers. If you're not ready for it, a question like, hey, what's new with you? Can be a little bit stressful. You may not have a good answer. You may have to stop and think about it. Think about the questions that are almost definitely going to be asked and just have answers, and not just answers, but stories. Everybody loves stories. If you can give an answer like, oh, a new thing with me is the chickens have just started laying eggs, and we now have so many eggs that they are stacking up in the refrigerator, and we're trying to find people to give them to. Doesn't have to be a great story. It just has to be something engaging that they can relate to. So be prepared with that. Make big talk. I don't like small talk. So make big talk. Ask the deeper question. If someone is talking about something that you feel is small talk and you don't really care about it, ask them why they do. What do they like so much about it? If it's a TV show that everyone's talking about and you don't necessarily watch it, you don't have to ask the details of the show, but just say, why does that show talk to you so much? Why is it so important? Make big talk. Get into the deeper questions. Along with that is being curious. So some of that helps with big talk, but it can also be really useful if someone says something you absolutely don't agree with. Rather than arguing back with them if they have some political position that you absolutely don't agree with them, just be curious and ask, oh, really, why do you feel that is? Or why do you feel that way? Or why do you think that makes the world a better place? Don't be snarky. Ask it with genuine curiosity. You will get to engage and learn more about that person, and it's a good way to have a productive conversation. I recommend setting up boundaries, and when you state them with a smile. Maybe you're not going to talk about politics, period. And if someone starts talking about politics, you can just say, just so you know, I don't talk about politics. And you say it with a smile, and if they keep going, you said, well, told you I don't talk about politics, so I'm walking away now. If you do it aggressively, it's going to cause a problem. If you do it with a smile, they're just going to say, I guess that person doesn't like to talk about politics. 2 other things you can do are offer to help. If it's your own house, then you get to kind of pick and choose which tasks you do. If it's someone else's house, then offer to help. It gives a way to participate without necessarily having to talk to people. So if you're getting stressed by the conversation or triggers or just not knowing people and feeling awkward, having a job to do or a task is a great way to be part of the community without necessarily having to talk. And the last one is feel free to give yourself space. If you are getting overwhelmed, a lot of times it's the most people you'll have in your house or the most people you'll be together with in someone else's house. Go for a walk. Maybe the dog needs a walk, and that's what you offer to do to help. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Offer to help by taking the dog for a walk, also giving yourself some space. If there is a room in your own house that no one else is going to, like maybe your bedroom, go to that. Sometimes the space I will give myself over Thanksgiving is just watching football. If you go into a room where people are watching football, they're generally all just looking at the screen. And so even though you're in a crowd, you are not necessarily having to interact. And that's pretty similar to having space all to yourself. So as I said, Thanksgiving is both my first and second favorite holiday of the year. And just try to remember to enjoy it. Prepare to make sure that you do. Be thankful for all the good things that have happened and that are coming, and go in with that mindset so that if anything stressful or triggering happens to you, you'll be able to handle it with equanimity. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Neuroconversant Leadership. I hope you're entertained while also learning a thing or two. Did this episode remind you of anyone? Do you think that person might appreciate this podcast? If so, please send them to my website, www.neuroconversantleadership.com, where they can listen to the episodes, or send them a link to whatever platform it is that you're listening to this on. Thanks again, and have a great week.